Good morning from Southern California and welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman and this is my co-host Petey, who's lying down right now. You can just kind of see this big lump and there you go. Hi Petey. He jumped up here from a dead sleep and he was looking for treats because I gave him treats once recently to get up here, and now he was all over the place, but I think he's calmed down. It is My Left Ear, called My Left Ear because I get intuitive psychic information through my left ear. I have no explanation for that. And it is November 20th. Now, last night, I pretty much wrote this out. I have to be at a different zip code later because I'm working on a special event. So I wanted to get this out because so much has happened yesterday and overnight. And this is a strange way to start this video, but I'm going to start it by saying this is about murder and hangings. Yes, that's the theme of the day. It began with, it began a while ago. Pete, don't do that. Don't get in my way, Pete. Okay, there you go. I lost my train of thought for a minute. Okay, so I had heard a podcast by Sherry Jacobus, who's a journalist and a really great journalist, and she's been in politics forever and ever. And she started talking about something the other night that really got my interest, but then it got my interest more. Then all of a sudden, it became super relevant. So let me explain. The Saudi prince came to our country and was honored by that guy. And you remember the journalist named Khashoggi, who worked for, I think, Washington. He got slaughtered. He got completely slaughtered by the Saudi prince. They didn't like him. So it was very uncomfortable to watch that guy welcome and slobber over another, dictator. So that got me thinking about murder, because this is what Sherry was talking about. So there's a series of coincidences now, and let me run them by you. This morning, and this was like the late breaking that I added to what I had written last night, that guy called for the hanging and imprisonment of a number of House legislators, because they made a video, a number of them. I'm going to read the names in a minute, about to the armed forces, and a number of these people already served the armed forces, and you will recognize some of these names. And they wanted to tell the armed forces, having been in the armed forces and now in Congress, make sure you know your rights, because you don't have to do everything that you're ordered to do, and just make sure that what you're choosing to do is legal and not illegal. And so what's happening right now is that there's a massive number of people from the armed forces who are contacting attorneys in the know to see what their rights are. What can they say? No, we refuse. So that's interesting already, because it tells you the wave of the thinking. What if we don't believe in these orders? What if we think these orders are illegal and wrong? So that's going on. And after this video came out, that guy went nuts. Probably more nuts than we've ever seen him go. And he's over the top angry. I mean, he's out of his mind. So these are the senators there's a few senators in here. Senator Elisa Slotkin was part of this video, and she's a former CIA analyst. Senator Mark Kelly, of course, I believe you know, Navy captain. Representative Jason Crow, former Army Ranger. Representative Maggie Goodlander, former Navy reservist. And so far, all of these are Democrats. Representative Chris DeLuzio from Pennsylvania, Navy officer. And finally, there's one more. Representative Chris Houlihan from Pennsylvania and former Air Force officer. So in the video, they stated that threats to the Constitution are coming from within the United States and reminded service members of their oath to the Constitution. And I've been saying that for months. That's who they answer to. And this now is causing that guy to call for those public servants, those senators and Congress people, to be immediately arrested and hung. I swear to God. That's what he wanted. That's what he said, that they should be, look it up. I was in a hurry this morning to add this, but basically he wants to sentence them to their deaths for making a video that is just cautioning how people in the armed forces can find out their rights and protect themselves. That's it. They didn't call for a revolution or them to do anything, just like know your rights. I mean, that's like sums it up. Know your rights. So now, as a result of that, everybody, because it's like, for me, it's 3 hours later, so it's almost lunch or the middle of the day in DC, all of a sudden, all these Dems are saying, well, let's impeach Trump. And frankly, I still don't think that's going to happen yet. But that's what he deserves, because I guess there's never been an incident of this, of the president of the United States saying, hang them, kill them, they're treasonous. Well, this is not treason. So anyway, now when there's a series of interesting, and I want to repeat, interesting circumstances. And that's what I sort of called from Sherry Jacobus. And this is so relevant. I just want you to think about this, because I don't remember the movie or the TV show, but there was a line that became famous with some murder story or detective saying, very interesting. So so we stay out of trouble, so I don't get into trouble. Let's just say I'm going to share with you some things that are very interesting. Okay. Starts with the alleged suicide of Jeffrey Epstein in prison, and a bunch of circumstances that nobody can explain, that the cameras were off or broken, guards were sleeping, no other inmates were in Epstein's cell, and he allegedly committed suicide by hanging himself. And I realized I don't want to say that S word again. Allegedly, there were people, other inmates, that heard some screaming and yelling. His brother paid for 2 separate coroners to investigate if he had committed the S. And these 2 coroners said no. And they said why they didn't think he had done that. So keep this in mind. And one thing I failed to do this morning was to look up which was first. I'm sure people will tell me, but I started with the Epstein suicide, and then I went to Ivana Trump. And pretty much everybody knows that she was in this, this really big penthouse apartment in New York with a big staircase, and allegedly fell down the staircase and died. She was found at the foot. And there's just some things about this, that she was carrying allegedly a cup of coffee, and she could have taken an elevator. She had elevators in this apartment, this mansion. And yet there were no coffee stains on the staircase, but there were at the bottom where she fell. And they said she perished from blunt trauma injuries. She didn't break her neck. So, and then here's the thing. The day before, Ivana Trump had this terrible fall and died. The day before. The next day, she was supposed to testify or take a deposition about her ex-husband, that guy. Is that timing a little interesting? Right? A little interesting. The day before she was going to testify. Okay, now we move on, and this is me removing Petey's fine hair. Butler, Pennsylvania, there was an alleged attempted assassination. 2 men ended up deceased after this happened. The shooter and a gentleman who lived with his family in Butler and was a huge fan of that guy. But he was in the wrong place at the wrong moment, and he died and left a widow and I think 2 daughters or 3 daughters. It seemed that when that shot rang out, and a lot of people feel this way, that it was staged and not legitimate. And when the FBI, Secret Service, went in to protect that guy when the shot rang out, they managed to allow him a photo op of a fist pump. And he was so ready for that fist pump photo opportunity. It was just, hold on guys, let me get it. Let me get the shot. Let me get whatever, the thing was that he did. And then he got his there's a name that they call it, the money shot. Glad I thought of that. The money shot. He got the money shot. And then there was some blood, but no injury to the ear. Literally no injury to the ear, but blood. And the weird thing is, I had just seen the movie The Sting. I mean, I saw it probably for the 3rd or 4th time. And the very end of The Sting is a sting with Robert Redford, dear Robert Redford, and Paul Newman. And so one of the last frames when they complete the sting is that, if you haven't seen the movie before, and everybody has, Redford is on the floor dead. And there's blood coming out of his mouth. So after the cops raid the place and all the bad guys get taken, Redford sits up and he goes like this, and he takes a blood pellet out of his mouth. Okay, we got it done. Mission accomplished. It reminded me about the end of the sting. So the butler, the feeling is, the word on the street is that he thought this would get him more votes in the election. He thought the sympathy vote, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, they had all these people with cotton and tampons on their ears at the Republican, the RNC. That Butler thing, so in question, so suspicious, but another death. And then Charlie Kirk, who was really campaigning almost for the Epstein files to be released. And it is said that that guy called him and said, please don't do this. Just stop talking about it. And evidently Charlie did that. He stopped for a few days, and then I guess he thought, and he went back. no, we need to get this released. And then he got assassinated. And he wore a protective vest, but they got him about right here, either from the back or the front. The investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder seems to be very flimsy, incomplete. You know, Patel is like the crooked FBI head who can't shoot straight. So there's still a lot of things. And the FBI was very famous for bungling this, for a poor investigation. Okay, so isn't it convenient? Charlie Kirk was going on, with so many followers, was going on this mission to get the Epstein files, and boom, he got offed. Now, within the last 48 hours, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was sounding more and more like an independent or a Democrat, but it's not official, she made a statement, and this is like not exactly what she said, so I want to be clear, but she announced, if I am found DEAD, please know that I did not commit the S word. S is in Sam. I did not commit the S word. Because she's spoken out, she's criticized, she's insisted that we get all the Epstein materials, and she's turned her back on that guy. And he wants to get her. He is so angry, and considers her a traitor and disloyal. And she just said, if anybody finds me, I want everybody to know something. I'm not committing suicide. I don't think about committing suicide, and I will not commit suicide. But she's being harassed and she's being swatted for her position. So only in the last 48 hours was this mentioned again. Should I get murdered? And they try to call it a S word. That's not the truth. So now, as of this morning, I'm going to go back to the beginning. That guy is calling for, how many did I say? Was it 8 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 senators and House members, all Democrats, to be eradicated, put in jail, imprisoned, put to death, hung. These are all words that I did not make up for this story. And so I just felt such a need to simply say, very interesting, because it is, because a lot of these incidences, if not all, were advantageous to that guy. And that's the post today. Because I have to go work a 6-hour job at a special event, which will be fun. So now, all of a sudden, overnight, there's let's impeach that guy, and all hell is broke loose. And if you ever saw the HBO TV show, which I loved, it was called Deadwood. And it was about this town of Deadwood, and everybody came there, like lots of thieves and culprits and bad cowboys came there to find gold. I just thought this was the most spectacular TV show, but it was about thieves and scoundrels, and there was a head guy, not a president, whose name was Swearingen, and he was pure evil. And it was like a wild western town that was out of control, where people got shot and all kinds of stuff. I feel like we're in Deadwood right now. What did I say the name of the show was? Deadwood? What did I say? Because I didn't put it in my notes. Anyway, I gotta run. There's no runes today. I apologize. I felt that this series of events were very good for everybody to kind of get a view of this, you know? And I really can't say more than these series of events are very interesting. Let us not forget them, because when a series of events benefits one person, this is, you know, like, what can I say? I have to be very careful. This is interesting, okay? This is outrageous, okay? Certainly a lot of people, not really so much me, through this investigation, that Epstein knew everything to take down that guy. He knew everything to take down that guy. Alrighty, I'm going to jump off. I'll be back in the next couple of days with evidence and quotes, but I didn't even do that today because I got to get going. So I hope you find this a little bit interesting. I've really reached goals with my number of subscribers, and this was just so happy for me. I'm elated, but now we're going to keep going. I have a number for 2026, but thank you so far. Continue to please subscribe. It's getting exciting. And the more subscribers I get, the more excited I get to share. I guess that's obvious, right? All right, peace and blessings. Be careful out there. I know you're going to start shopping. Turkeys are very expensive right now because of the main turkey that's running the country. It wasn't that clever, but there it is. Anyway, make peace, make good memories. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.